tomorrow, May 7th, it all begins in Vatican City. The papal conclave kicks off.
A really pivotal moment.
Absolutely. And our focus today is squarely on who gets to walk into that Sistine Chapel and cast a vote. Who are these cardinal electors?
Yeah, the key players in choosing the next pope.
We've looked at reports from places like CNA, PBS NewsHour, checked the Wikipedia rundown, Catholic hierarchy data, basically trying to pull together a clear picture for you.
Synthesizing the core info.
Exactly. Our mission here is to just lay out who's eligible, who's actually expected to be there, and what the rules say. So let's start with the absolute basics. What makes a cardinal eligible to vote?
Okay, well, the fundamental rule comes down to age. It's laid out in the Apostolic Constitution, Universi Dominici Gregis.
That's the rule book for papal elections, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. And it states very clearly, only cardinals who hadn't hit their 80th birthday on April 21st, 2025, that's the day the Holy See became vacant, only they can vote. So you had to be born on or after April 21st, 1945.
Okay, so a hard cutoff date.
A very hard cutoff. And it's worth mentioning, while usually the Pope is picked from those electors.
That's the tradition?
It is, but technically it's not a strict requirement. Any baptized Catholic male could, in theory, be chosen, though realistically...
Realistically, it's going to be one of the cardinals in that room.
Almost certainly.
So we start with the whole College of Cardinals. 252 members at the time Pope Francis passed away. How many fit that age criteria?
Right. So out of those 252, the initial number of eligible electors was 135.
135 potential voters. But I understand that number's already shifted a bit.
It has, yeah. We've had announcements from 2 cardinal electors saying they won't be attending the conclave.
Oh, okay. Why not?
Both have cited health reasons. One cardinal is from Spain, the other from Kenya.
So that brings the number of actual expected participants down.
Correct. Down to 133 expected electors.
And that number, 133, is crucial for the voting outcome, right? Because of the majority needed.
Absolutely crucial. To get elected pope, a candidate needs a 2/3 supermajority of the electors present and voting.
2/3. So with 133 electors, doing the math.
Yeah, you're looking at needing 89 votes, a significant number to reach.
Definitely seems like it. So let's talk about these 133, or the 135 initially eligible. What's the makeup of that group, like their roles in the church?
Okay, if you break it down by rank, there are 5 Cardinal Bishops, 110 Cardinal Priests, and 20 Cardinal Deacons.
And what about who appointed them? Does that tell us anything?
Oh, that's perhaps one of the most striking statistics. It really shows the influence of recent papacies.
How so?
Well, only 5 of the eligible electors were created cardinals by Pope John Paul II.
Just 5?
Yeah. Then you have 22 who were appointed by Pope Benedict XVI.
Okay, a bit more.
But then the vast majority, 108 of them, were named cardinals by Pope Francis himself.
108 out of 135 initially. That's huge.
It's massive. That's 80%. 80% of the voting body appointed by the Pope they're now replacing.
Wow. That certainly suggests, well, it suggests Pope Francis has had a profound impact on the body that will choose his successor.
Undeniably. It shapes the dynamics considerably.
And where do these cardinals work? Are they mostly in Rome or spread out?
It's a mix. About 29 work directly for the Holy See, in the Roman Curia.
Okay, the Vatican administration.
Right. But the larger group, 79 of them, are out in the world, leading dioceses, engaged in pastoral ministry. And then you have 28 who are officially retired from those roles, but still under 80.
A global group then, mostly.
Yeah.
And the age range. You mentioned the 80 cutoff, but who's right on the edge and who's the youngest?
Well, the oldest eligible elector is Cardinal Carlos Osoro Sierra from Spain. He's 79, turned 80 just after the cutoff date, essentially.
Wow, talk about close.
Exactly. And on the other end, the youngest is Cardinal Mykola Bichok, a Ukrainian Greek Catholic bishop serving in Australia. He's only 45.
45. That's quite a spread in age and experience, isn't it?
A very wide range, yeah. Decades of difference.
Now, we mentioned 2 cardinals aren't attending due to health. But there's another prominent cardinal, also under 80, who don't be voting, but for very different reasons. Cardinal Bishops.
Yes, the Bishops situation. It's quite complicated.
He's under 80, so age isn't the issue.
Correct. But, as you likely know, he resigned his rights associated with being a cardinal back in September 2020. This was tied to allegations of financial misconduct.
Right, and he was later convicted, though he's appealing that conviction.
Exactly. So, despite being technically under the age limit, his status was ambiguous. The Vatican website actually lists him officially as a non-elector.
But he initially said he planned to attend the conclave.
He did assert that right, yes. There was definitely some, let's say, public dispute or uncertainty about whether he could or should participate.
So what was the final decision?
Ultimately, Cardinal Bishops announced he wouldn't enter the conclave. He stated he was respecting Pope Francis's wishes on the matter, apparently expressed in letters before the Pope's death.
So he's voluntarily staying away.
Yeah.
Based on the late Pope's wishes.
That's the public stance, yes. It's important to note, though, that his absence doesn't actually change the official count of eligible electors from that initial 135.
Why not?
Because it seems the Vatican never considered him eligible to vote after he resigned his cardinalatial rights. So he was never really counted in that 135 by them, even if he himself argued otherwise for a time.
Okay, that clarifies things. What about the senior leadership within the College of Cardinals? Like the dean and subdean, are they involved?
They are involved in the preparations, but not in the actual voting inside the Sistine Chapel.
Because of age?
Yes. Both the dean, Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, and the subdean, Cardinal Leandro Sandri, are over 80.
So they can't vote?
Correct. They can, however, participate in the general congregations. Those are the important meetings of all cardinals, voters, and non-voters that happen before the conclave locks down. They help set the agenda, discuss the needs of the church.
But who presides over the actual voting sessions, then, if the dean is ineligible?
That responsibility falls to the highest-ranking cardinal elector who is under 80. In this case, that's expected to be Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Secretary of State.
Got it. Cardinal Parolin will oversee the voting. Now, you mentioned 135 eligible electors initially. That sounds like a lot. Historically speaking, how does this number compare?
It's actually quite significant. This 2025 conclave, even with the two absences bringing it to a 133, started with a potential 135, which is noted as being the largest group of electors since the Pope Paul VI nominally capped the number at 120 back in the 1970s.
So they exceeded the supposed limit.
Well, popes have consistently exceeded that 120 number when creating cardinals. And the Congregation of Cardinals confirmed before this conclave that, yes, all eligible electors, even if over 120, would participate. The limit has become more of a guideline.
Interesting. And this whole idea of only cardinals voting, how far back does that go?
Oh, quite a way. The practice really started to solidify in the 11th century with a decree by Pope Nicholas II in 1059. Initially, it was limited just to the Cardinal Bishops.
There's a small group then?
A very small group. But later, Pope Alexander III in 1179 expanded it to include all cardinals, bishops, priests, and deacons. And he's also the one who established that crucial two-thirds majority rule that's still used today.
Wow, so elements from nearly 1,000 years ago are still shaping what happens tomorrow.
Absolutely, the history runs deep.
Are there any other, maybe, intriguing little details about this specific group of electors that stand out to you?
Well, we touched on Cardinal Osoro Sierra being right near the age limit. It really highlights how significant a single date can be.
Yeah. A matter of days or weeks deciding participation.
Exactly. And again, that huge percentage, 80%, appointed by Pope Francis. You have to wonder how much his vision, his priorities have permeated this group. It doesn't guarantee anything, of course. Individual conscience plays a role.
But it's a definite factor.
It's a huge factor to consider. And, you know, the whole Betches situation, regardless of the rights and wrongs, it just underscores the human drama, the internal politics, the complexities that inevitably swirl around an event like this, even with all the spiritual weight.
So as we look towards tomorrow, we've got this picture of likely 133 men. A group defined by age, shaped significantly by the last pontificate, with diverse backgrounds facing this immense task.
That's the essence of it. The dynamics fascinating, the age spread, the geographical origins, the influence of Pope Francis's appointments, and even those notable absences.
It really makes you think, what are the key factors going to be for them inside that chapel? How will their different perspectives collide or coalesce?
Precisely. And how will that ultimately shape the direction the Catholic Church takes next? We hope this deep dive gives you, the listener, a better handle on the who involved in this historic process.
It definitely provides a foundation. It makes you curious about these individuals. You know, what drives Cardinal X or Cardinal Y? What are their track records?
And that's maybe something for you to consider exploring further. Look into the biographies of some of these key electors, their past actions, their writings, their known priorities. They might offer clues, however tentative, about the kind of leader they might be looking for.
Yeah, the story we've unpacked today is really just setting the stage. The real drama begins tomorrow.
Indeed. A story with truly global significance.